Welcome to the Yarlow Home Cringe Show. I'm your host, Katie Shahan, and we are here to talk about cringy moments in home ownership, where we go from oh no to okay. For our first step, we're going to have two guests on our show today. We have Kim Nybo with Kimberly Nybo Insurance with State Farm, and Josh Swisher with North Face Construction, who does roofing, exterior remodeling, storm damage restoration. But first, before we get into our guests, we're going to do a user-submitted home cringe moment. And James King from Maple Grove, Minnesota, submitted a moment for us on Facebook. And it says his washer overflowed into the basement while they were sleeping. And they had to replace all the basement flooring. They had to replace the ceiling and some of the furniture. So, moral of the story, try not to run your appliances when you're not home or when you're sleeping, in case, especially appliances that involve water. So now we're going to dive into our first segment with Kimberly Nybo with Nybo Insurance with State Farm. Hi, Kim.
Hi, how are you guys?
Doing great. How are you?
Awesome.
Perfect.
We're going to talk about insurance. Who's not excited about that?
Woo!
Woo!
You're going to give us all the insights on how we can, what resources are available to us as homeowners. So first, we're going to play a little game so our listeners can get to know you a little bit better. I call it our fast pitch, where I ask you as many questions as I can in about a minute, and you give us some answers, and we can get to know you better.
Great.
All right. So we'll put a minute on the clock, and here's your first question. How long have you been in the insurance game?
I'm in my 35th year.
Okay, so you're about 37?
I'm absolutely 37. Yes.
What's your favorite fall activity?
Being outdoors. I love cool nights and warmer days. So this is one of my favorite seasons, fall.
Have you worked for another agency besides State Farm?
I have not. Only State Farm. Loyal through and through.
That's right. Do you need a license to be an insurance agent in the
Yes,
state?
you do. Yep. We're a heavily regulated industry. So there's several licenses you need to have if you're going to get in the business. So it's a huge commitment up front. If you'd want to be in the industry, you need to have these licenses. There's a lot of studying time and state exams.
Perfect. And if somebody is wanting to work with you in insurance, is there a way to check your license, that they are licensed appropriately?
Yeah, we can check that with the state website. You bet. But,
Great.
You know, a lot of people come and apply and want to work here, and then we help them navigate through how to get licensed and what that looks like and get their start in the insurance business.
Perfect. And what's your craziest claim that you've ever seen so far?
Well, I have many. We have many. A lot of them have to do with either storm or water. Water seems to be a culprit of a lot of things. You know, leaky basements are not covered, but if you have a sump pump and there's power failure because you can't keep up because of the rain coming in so quickly to drain tile, then there's a covered claim for that. But, you know, say the sump pump can't keep up. It could, you know, you could have a indoor swimming pool in your basement that people aren't aware of. And they go downstairs and they're in, 5-6 feet of water and everything's floating. So those can be very cringeworthy moments, I would say, along with, wind and hail and storm or a tree. I've had trees fall through the middle of people's homes and come right down, slice their home in two. Thank goodness, no lives were lost, but there's some serious things that can happen, right, as a homeowner.
Definitely. So that brings us into the topic of catastrophic versus maintenance. And as a homeowner, I've had home insurance and I've never made a claim. And so, but I've heard other people make claims, and I'm curious, if you could provide some insight about that.
So I call it the catastrophic or the inconvenient. So inconvenient would be maintenance wear and tear. Something small, maybe not over your deductible or a little bit over your deductible. That would be an inconvenience. That would be not something we would encourage you to maybe put in, because claims are recorded under a database. And so every time you submit a claim, whether zero is paid out or a lot is paid out, it does go against you as a ding. So you want to be careful about that and make sure that as a homeowner, you're responsible for taking care of your home, with maintenance, wear and tear, and keeping it in good working order, making sure if there's a leak, you fix it right away. If there's a plumbing bulging, bursting pipe, that you get the water turned off right away to help mitigate the extent of the loss and things like that. So I always call it the catastrophic or just the inconvenient.
That makes sense. And then you've mentioned too before about price versus
cost.
Yes.
Okay. So I always have conversations with my clients or potential clients about price versus cost. So you have to decide pay now or pay later. So you may find that there's some incredible policies on the market today for homes policies, and then there's some really bad ones. So bad ones may be something that's quite cheap, and you think, well, this is great, I'm going to save myself some money, but at claim time, you're really not. So maybe the cheap one saved you $10 a month or $20 a month, but at claim time, it costs you $25,000. So would you rather pay the $20 a month now and not have to pay the $25,000 later? So that's the problem we run into with a lot of customers being penny wise, pound foolish. And I see it a ton with people coming to my agency from other offices or from other companies, I should say, that are in these situations where financially it's wiped them out. Yeah, the price may be cheaper, but they have 3 deductibles on their home policy that they thought they had 1. And now they've got $15,000 or $17,000 in deductibles, and they thought they had a $1,000 deductible.
Gotcha. Because you gave me an example earlier that if I had water penetration in my house, so like all of a sudden my ceiling starts to leak, you're saying that there might be a deductible for my roof to get that fixed, but there also might be a deductible for the flooring inside to get fixed.
Correct. For structure repair internally, wind damage would be, a lot of people have a percentage wind hail deductible on their policy. Then they've got the structure damage internally, and then they may have personal property damage, which is another deductible. So depending on what the situation is, they could have 3 deductibles on their home policy with some of these other companies I'm seeing, not 1. And that's where it becomes unaffordable for them, and they can't even afford to get the repairs done.
Right. So when a tree does fall on your house and you have to make those 3 deductibles, it sounds like you might not be able to repair that. And
some people, that's part of that pay now or pay later thing. It's not always better to have $20 or less per month home policy.
So when
you want to be sure what people really need to focus on, what's going to cost me? What's my pocket outlay out of pocket? They need to look more at that at claim time than they do looking at, the monthly payment. I get that. That's a budget thing, but really they need to focus more on how bad could this be, and could it wipe out my savings, or am I going to have to take a home equity loan because of it, or something like that to get my home repaired because of those big deductibles, or even some things on a policy that aren't covered. There's many home policies that don't cover roof after 10 years.
Oh, okay.
So, you have to be careful about that, because roof is $20,000. What if there's no coverage?
Yes.
It's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
And then the insurance company will cancel them because they need to replace the roof, and then they didn't replace the roof. So now the insurance company cancels them. The next insurance company won't write them because the roof is damaged and it wasn't repaired yet. So you see the vicious circle that can create.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I know that I've heard rumors of the insurance company insures the house, so not necessarily the person sometimes. So the previous homeowner might make a claim and not use that money to repair it. Have you heard of stuff like that?
It's happened a lot, especially in short sales or divorces, where maybe the husband was on the home policy or the wife, and they got the money and they cashed the check. They're divorced, and now the home's up for sale and the money's already been spent. So it happens quite a bit. Now today, they've put some fail safes in place. If it's a mortgage where you've got to send the money in, the claim check has got the name of the mortgage company on it now too. So in a claim situation, you got to send it to the mortgage company. The mortgage company then will dove out the money and maybe even send an inspector out to make sure that the repairs are being made along the way, so that, mortgage companies aren't on the hook for things like that, and, potential new homeowners and things like that. So there are some ways around that. But, there's things that fall through the cracks too, but that definitely can happen.
So you're saying if I'm looking to buy a new home, sometimes it's great to get in contact with an agent like yourself who can verify that there's no outstanding claims on the house, or what to check for before I sign on the dotted line.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
Great.
And then a realtor should know some of that to be able to check on some of that. And it's supposed to be disclosed, obviously, in their disclosure too. So, you know, if a seller is not disclosing that, that's against that's against the law too. So.
Perfect. So we do have some safe fails in there, but it's nice to hear a professional opinion about just some advice on what to look for. Because sometimes that premium comes with a lot of paperwork, and it's hard to know exactly what you're signing.
Totally. Yep. And not all home policies are the same, just so you know.
That sounds about right. And then you guys offer renter's insurance too, because there have been some cringy moments in renting your house or renting an apartment, right?
There's a lot of cringy moments in renters for renters, and a lot of renters think, "Oh, I don't need it. I don't have much." But there's a liability piece to it. So one of my insureds was thawing meat in their sink and with a plastic bag, and left the water running a little bit to help it thaw, and went to busy, and hours later came back and flooded his apartment, the neighbor's apartment, and the apartment below. And thank goodness he had renter's insurance.
Definitely.
Because what's he going to do without? He's got damage, and he's liable for all of that. So that becomes a problem. The other thing is that we get a lot of calls from people saying, well, my car was in an accident or was broken into, and they took all the items, especially over the Christmas time. They took all of my personal property out of my car. Well, that's really extends from renters. That's part of your renter's policy or your home policy. That's not part of your auto policy. So people, that happens quite a bit. Maybe they're on vacation or their car is broken into or something like that. So renters is a very, very important policy. Everybody should have one if you rent. Or here's another example. People rent a house together, and there's 4 roommates. One roommate has the renter's insurance and the other 3 don't. You all need a policy. You're not covered. Or a boyfriend and girlfriend move in together. If they don't have a policy with both names on it or each individual, that other half of the policy, half of that personal property is covered. The other half is not.
That's a good point.
Yep.
Well, we're running out of time here.
Oops, sorry.
You're fine. Do you offer any discounts for our homeowners and renters?
Absolutely. So we give a big discount for bundling your home and auto together.
Perfect. Well, thanks, Kim, for taking some time with us. And again, we're talking with Kimberly Nybo, and you can find her on the State Farm website. And her phone number is also, you want to tell us your phone number, Kim?
Yep. So 763-571-6111. And I can be reached at kim@nyboagency.com or kim@kimnybo.com. And my other office number is 612-767-7775. And I'd love to help any way I can.
Perfect. Coming up next on the Yarlow Home Cringe Show, we have Josh Swisher, who's going to talk about roofs. Thanks again, Kim. We'll talk soon.
Thanks.